Okay, I've had a lot of friends and people who subscribe to me ask about what is your 72-hour kit, what's your get out of Dodge bag, what's your bug out bag. And also I've had people in the past ask me what did I carry on the El Camino. So this is it. Let me first of all show you what I took on the El Camino. So this is a hike of our pilgrimage for 500 miles. Took 39 days. In addition, the bag carried me through about a half a dozen days afterwards and 3 or 4 days before the hike. So we're up to about 49 days living off of a pack. Now, first of all, this is in the style of the pack that I carried. It's a Condor pack. If you look at my video on the El Camino, you'll see that I often carry a plastic bag because the little brother of this wasn't quite big enough. So this is while I took an a Condor pack on the El Camino, I've increased it to a larger size. Now, the first thing that you're going to need is some good shelter and clothing, particularly on the El Camino. Each night, my hiking buddy and I, we did stop at an arbogay or a hotel where you could rent a room. In the vast majority of the cases, we stayed at an arbogay where you could rent a bunk bed, basically. So what type of clothing do you need? Well, basically, you need 2 sets of clothes. One set you're going to wear that day. That evening, you're going to wash that, hang it up to dry, and then you've got your set of clothing to wear that evening and through the next day. And you're just left and right, starboard and port, those 2 sets of clothing. Now you'll see that I have a little more than that where I could do a mix and match. But the most important decision you'll make is what shoes you take. Now on the El Camino I took some Vasquez leather sundowners. They're great boots. I thought I had them broke in. I didn't. I did get some blisters the first 100, 150 miles. So I would not wear those again other than the pair that I wore in the past, which is totally broken in now. What I'd recommend is something like a soft Merrell or Solomon. These are a Merrell Tactical 2, and you can see that they're the low cut, they're soft, and they just break in really easy, almost out of the box. They're very soft. It is waterproof up to the top. So these are the shoes I'd recommend, something like it. You also will want to have a pair of sandals. So in the side pockets of my pack I had some sandals. These are Teva. Just get you a good quality pair of sandals, although I highly recommend the Teva. Also Keen is very good. And what I would often do is this is what I'd wear in the evening. In the AM I would hike in the Merrells, and some days I just kept hiking in the afternoon in the Merrell, or in my regular shoes. The Merrells I'd recommend. But on some afternoons I'd switch and wear the sandals. Now let's look at what clothing you should take. Just for readiness purposes, I keep my the clothes that I would wear on me, 1 set of them in this little sack here. Let's see, I won't bother with showing you, but I carry an extra pair of undergarments, and then here is a Colombian sportswear shirt. This is the one that's I think it's actually was originally meant for fishing, and it's got vents in the back and on the side, short sleeve. The wrinkles come out of it pretty fast, and these are very popular. I see these everywhere now. When I first got them, not so much, but now I see them everywhere. But just a great shirt to have on. Also, you're going to need an expandable belt. The good news when you hike 500 miles is you start to lose weight. I lost about 20 pounds altogether. My partner lost, I think, 25. And so this is a military belt, and you loop it through here and you can adjust it, because the last 200 miles your pants are falling down if you don't have a belt. I like the sock liners, so here's a pair of socks. I highly recommend either the sock liners, the polypropylene, and I also highly recommend Smart Wool. Then you're going to have some pants, and this set of pants is, should say here somewhere. Usually I wear, yeah, here it is, North Face. This is made from the North Face company, and it's the type where you can zip the bottom of the legs off so that you can either wear shorts, which we wore shorts a lot on the El Camino, and also in the early part when it was colder we wore them full pant lengths. So you want to have a good pair of technical pants, and notice this has loops for the belt. So basically we have underclothing, pants, socks, shoes, shirt, belt. So in an emergency I would pull this out, change into this, grab the bag and go. So this is on me. Alright, let's look in the bag and see what else we have. Anything that can get wet, I put in Sea to Summit bags. You can buy those at any like hiking or camping store pretty much. So let's see what we have in this first red bag. And here's my foul weather gear. This is from Mountain Hardware. This is what I call light foul weather gear. It's got nice zippers on it. The zipper here. Make sure you have a hood. Here's the pants to it, and this is also North Face, and just a nice pair of pants. This is nice where you can cuff it around your pant legs. So that's all that's in that one bag. So you've got your foul weather gear there. Let's see what we have here in the blue bag. We have a fleece jacket. This was indispensable from the first 150 miles. It was quite cold, and I had anticipated I would just drop it in on a table where people pick up other people's equipment that they don't want to carry anymore. But it was cold enough that I held on to it for the entire 500-mile hike and used it. Then I have a small army poncho. You're going to use this for a number of purposes. One is some of the bunk beds that you stay in might have bed bugs. So I would always throw this out as a undersheet if you would. But also I was totally prepared if we had to, in an emergency, spend the night outside. This will keep you dry, and you can wrap up in it, and it will, particularly for its size, will add a lot of warmth for you. This is a Smug Pack nylon shirt. I'm not going to bother to pull it out. It's a pullover, has a hood, goes all the way up on your arms. And I never used this on the El Camino, but it was sort of my emergency shirt. So if you had to spend the night outside, put both sets of clothes on. You put this on that would keep you dry. Wrap yourself up in the fleece jacket, put on the foul weather gear, wrap yourself into the army poncho, and hopefully when you wake up in the morning you have all your fingers and toes. So that is the blue bag. Here's I'll call it purple bag. This was my hat. It's an operations research hat. And for some reason it kind of shrank up on me, but I'm sure that with a little wear, it would unwrinkle. And this was important. Keeps the sun off you, keeps the rain off your head. If you've ever hiked for hours and hours and hours with rain splattering you on the head, it gets old. You understand the water torture. So having a hat that keeps you head dry is great. Having the sun away from your face is also very helpful. You want to have like a high fleece towel. And I know you might go, wow, that's not a very big towel. No, it's not. But after you've drip dried a little bit and you wipe down with this, you'll be dry or relatively dry, and this dries real quick. This is more of a upscale fleece towel. And give me a little trouble, you're popping it open. I didn't take this one on the El Camino. The second little towel I had, I left somewhere along the trail. But this is a real quite high quality hiking towel, and I'm sure it would do the job. Also, take a pair of gloves. These are like silk gloves or polypropylene gloves. You need this for the first third of the El Camino. It helps your hands stay warm in the morning, and then when you cross the Meseta, which is like walking across Kansas, hour after hour of having the sun hit you, gets to be very old real quick. So the gloves protect your hands. Another pair of sock liners. Here's a athletic shirt for the second set of clothing. Now I did mention I had a few extra things, so I had an athletic shirt with long sleeves on them, and this is so by mixing and matching, people would kind of think you have 3 outfits when you really had 2. Okay, and this is the second pants, and once again it's I keep my 72-hour kit ready to go at all times, so a lot of this is kind of wrinkled up. But it's a pair of hiking pants from Columbia. Like I say, it zips off just above the knees so that you can wear it as long pants or short pants. Once again, you don't need to see my underwear, but you're going to have a second set of those. And then here are 2 sets of socks, which are smart wool, and you'll want these to use as socks. So now we're up to 4 pairs of socks, because if you're starting to sweat, you might at noontime or after lunch want to switch into a new set of socks, and that will help prevent blisters. So that's the majority of the clothing. Let's look in here. this is, well, just before we do that, another key thing we're going to have is you want a pair of sunglasses. And I did not have it in a Pelican case or wore it on my head, but for the purposes of storage I have it. And so here's a set of sunglasses. You want it to wrap all the way around, because when you start walking across Kansas or Meseta or something equivalent, you're going to get sun blasted. So this is a huge help. So sunglasses. Okay, I don't see it here, but also you will want to take a buff, and I must have put it in one of my other packs, but a buff you can buy at hiking stores, and you just pull it over your head, and you can do all sorts of configurations. But when I walked across the Meseta, basically hat, sunglasses, buff, and virtually shoved no skin on the face. Now in this little bag, this is sort of under the energy module, if you will, with my 12 modules. But remember, you don't know where you're going to go with your 72-hour kit. So we have a European or universal plug kit here, where if you recharge your camera or your iPhone, if it's not the right plug, various configurations of this, you'll be able to recharge it. Here's the recharger for my camera battery, and I brought a Canon Sure Shot 4000. Matter of fact, that's what I'm filming this on, and the camera is the one I took on the El Camino. So that's pretty much the bare minimum for shelter and clothing. This is my first aid kit. Once again, you want to go light, but here's some 4x4s. There's 25 of them in here, and this can go a long way if you have somebody that's a bleeder type wound. Pair of gloves, got some tape, some adhesive tape or coach tape, a roll of gauze, then for blister treatment you're going to want to have some needles. These are just sewing needles. Here's some alcohol wipes to sterilize them, and a little compact pair of scissors. The advantage of the scissors is it allows you to shape the 4x4 gauze or the roll of gauze to a smaller size if you need to. Here's my little pharmacy kit. Ibuprofen, some diphenhydramine, for any allergies. I never had to use those. You've got some Imodium for diarrhea in case you have to use those. And I think there's just one bandage in there. Then some duct tape. Never used it, but it can be handy. I don't recommend using it on skin, but if you have to, you can. Here's some more rolled gauze. Here's some Lotrament, which is for like athlete's feet. Never had to use it, but you might, especially like with the El Camino. All sorts of people use the shower. You've got some hand sanitizer. And then this is something I bought in Spain. It's called Campide, and it's sort of a Vaseline material. Vaseline, I would think, would do the same thing. But basically, one of the things you can do, particularly when you first start out, is the high pressure areas of your feet, the heels, the toes, on the sides by the toes, put a very light coat of Vaseline there. Then put your sock liner or your smart wool on it. Put your Merrill or Solomon or Vasquez soft shoe on it, and hopefully you don't get any blisters. So that's essentially your first aid kit. I don't show it here, but both my hiking buddy and I had some medicine for some health issues, and it surprised me how the customs people just seem to be like old American men. Yes, they have lots of pills. This is fine with us. So I thought that might be a problem, but it never was. Okay, what we've got here is, once again, under the energy module, I got a Petzl light. This was extremely helpful on numerous occasions, and I brought the regular Petzl one with a string because of its small size. You're going to want some lip gloss or chapstick. Once again, if you're up in the mountains and it's blowing and it's dry, you could easily get chapped lip. And the same when you're on the Spanish Meseta or walking across a place like Kansas. Here's 3 extra batteries. And then also very helpful, particularly if you are in an albergue or a hotel and you don't want to wake up other people, or Lord forbid you be in some sort of FEMA camp, is this, if you probably can't see it, but it's a red light. So you can get up at night, get to the bathroom with your little red light, and then on your return, red light. You're not waking up other people, you're not losing your night vision. And then I do have this, I just took it along because it was light and it did come in handy. It's actually something a software company gave me, but I think you can buy them. It's from Preparedness. It's a Swiss card, has a little scissors here, there's a little file here, and a couple other little tiny like tools here, something to file, like a toothpick, tweezers, and tweezers can be very helpful. You get any sort of splitter. And then here's a little probe. Okay, and then for water, I carried the Sawyer product. Here's a bag for it. I only used this one time. It was up, if you watch my El Camino video, it was on the Del Norte, the Northern Trail, and it looked like the Spanish had just taken a lead pipe and hammered it into an embankment like here, not with the rock face, but in a slope like that, and water was coming out of it, and the water looked clear and everything. But the trough that it dropped into, like the cattle were coming up and drinking out of it, and a couple of the Spanish pilgrims were using it. They told me it was drinkable, but to be on the safe side, I put it through here, and it was just fine. Now, also along with the water issue, even though, particularly the country that I live in, the area of the country I live in now, there's water's pretty accessible. But on the El Camino, for the most part, I always had 2 bottles of water, so about 500 milliliters. You will have a guide, or if you're using this for a get out of Dodge or a bug out bag, you want to study your trip and see how much water you have to carry from one point to another. There was a few times where on the El Camino where water was very plentiful and I would only take 1 bottle. Usually I took 2. There was a couple of places where I had to take 4 bottles because there was just not much along the way. You'll definitely want a hygiene kit, so here's a little portable toothbrush and toothpaste. I meant to put it in here, but you also will want to, at least for myself, I had 1 razor, and yes, I used it for 45 days. I do things like that. Also, toilet paper, which can be found at hiking stores. Some more toilet paper. And you don't want to get sick, you want to have good dental hygiene, so these are called Packards, and they're basically for flossing. Okay, so essentially that is what I had on the El Camino, and I would recommend highly to someone. And we went in May and June. So that's the essentials of the El Camino bag. Now, how do we upgrade that to be a good bag, a get out of Dodge, or bug out bag, a Bob bag? Well, first of all, we're going to need some food. So I've got two MREs here. This one is a minestrone, and this bag is Parmesan chicken. And you can tell with civilian MREs, they can be slightly different. But basically, they're a meal in the bag. So I'm figuring one of those per day. And if you're doing a lot of strenuous work or hiking, you might lose weight on that. Matter of fact, I can almost assure that I would. But it'll keep you going. Also, I like Mountain House. This is a chicken salad. Here's a chicken Polynesian. Sweet and sour pork with rice. And this is sort of designed for the hiker that has to be concerned about volume, so they've really scrunched it down. Here's a sweet and sour pork with rice. Chicken Polynesian. Chicken salad. Chicken Polynesian. You can tell what my favorites are. Barbecue sauce with beef. And finally a barbecue beef, a second barbecue beef with sauce. So we have 9 Mountain Houses, so figure 3 of those a day. 9 of those, that's 3 days. Plus the 2 MREs, that gives us a 4th and 5th day. So you can see with the essentials, the flexible portion of your emergency bag is the food. So this is for 5 days. With a big enough pack, or with a second pack, we can take that to 10, 15, 20 days, whatever we feel is required. In addition, we're going to need some other items for a bug out bag. One is a way to heat hot water. With the MREs, you can eat them cold without heating them. But if you warm them up and by using a propane or a regular wood fire stove fire, this is a little propane grill. There's just 2 pieces. The major portion with the grill, and then a second portion with a valve there, and you just screw it in there. Pop off the rubber tab, and you just screw it in there, and then it works like a regular, like a propane stove. I have a little metal dish here. You fill this up with water, and with the MREs, you jam the entree down in there and let it warm up. Pull it out, turn it over, jam it in, let it warm up, squish it around, and you got a hot meal. In addition, inside of here, I have a Stanley Max Edge hobo knife. And what this looks like, at first you think it looks like a regular pocket knife. And it works by a little button release here. But in reality, it comes apart in 3 sections. We have a spoon, a fork, and then the knife. These are a little bit hard to find, but you can find them. In addition, There's some miniature Tootsie Roll Pops in here and some hard candy. If you've been hiking all day and you're just really hungry, popping in a Tootsie Roll or a small piece of hard candy can give you a lot of energy and keep you going for a while longer. Also, there's a cigarette lighter in here. I always carry a ferro rod. This is a special material, and hopefully you can see the sparks there, and you get it down into the proper tinder and you'll get yourself a fire, and these last a long time. In addition, for shelter and clothing, this is a space emergency blanket from Grabber. So one side is OD green, olive drab green, and the inside is silver to retain the heat, so it can help you stay dry, help you stay warm, and it could even hide you from a thermal camera. Also, since you might be traveling with somebody else, here's this little plastic fork and knife and a napkin for a second person if they have to share your rations, a knife sharpener, and of course you're going to have a knife as part of your everyday carry. And then mainly because I got it for next to nothing, this is called You Can Survive. It's a miniature survival can, and within this, and it only cost me $2 to $5, but it has a folding wing stove, a hexamine, fuel tabs, tea bags, candy, sugar packets, poly water bag, energy drink, survival instructions, which should really be up here, damp proof matches, aluminum foil, and instant broth packets. So those are some of the extra items. Now if we want to upgrade for winter, if we're just looking to carry the minimal, this is a actually a British paratrooper bag. I would think it would be very hard to find one. I've only seen a couple of these, but any quality sleeping bag will do. The reason I like this is it's all covered in like a plastic rubber built into it, so it's a built-in ground cloth, keep you warm and dry, and then it's down, and so when you zip it all up, just this much is down, and you would take your army poncho and throw it over you and you can stay dry. So that's the essentials of the bug out bag. Now let's talk security. Now what do we do about security? Well, you need to armor up depending on the threat assessment. So as part of your everyday carry, you're going to have, or at least I utilize a tanker holster, unsnap it, out comes a Glock 17 with a 17 round magazine. Also, I carry 2 extra 17 round magazines for that. If you don't think that's sufficient, the problem with carrying a black rifle is it says 2 things. It says to any authority, that government authority that might be remaining, I'm going to take that away from you. And to the people who would do evil, it says, that's a nice rifle. I think I'm going to take that away from you. So I'll grant there might be some situations where you'd want a full-size rifle, but usually I think you would be best to go concealed. So the option that I chose in that case is, get this open, is what's called the Sub, or Caltech Sub 2000. You push a button here, now you have a carbine, and it takes regular Glock magazines. So this is a 33 round Glock magazine for 9mm. Just slot it in there, pull this back, you've chambered around, and now you can do some serious business with this. And because of the longer barrel, I understand this comes out at the power of about a .357 pistol range round. And you could have a couple of these with you, so you're all set. Might be quite a surprise for somebody. Now, another option, if you want to carry more rounds, or it's difficult for someone such as my wife to handle the chambering around in that. This is a Ruger. Sit up here. This is a Ruger 1022. It's a breakdown. You can see they send it to you in a really nice bag, but in a bug out scenario, I would just carry the 2 parts, and you just stick it in there. So you take the 1022 and you take the magazine for 25 rounds, just clips in there, and you're ready to go. And you can easily carry a couple magazines, and with 22 long rifle, hundreds of rounds. Now, the third option would be a Ruger PC carbine, which can convert to 9mm and utilizes the Glock magazine similar to the Cal-Tech 2000. Now, for people that get into more specifics, then it's a gunshot wound. You're hurting bad or you're dead. What I would say is these are compact, they're light, you can carry a lot of ammo, and I have to defer to my father's experience. He was a 3rd Infantry Division in World War II, and he used to say that I guarantee you that a 38 and a 9mm will kill someone. And after hearing him say that several times, I said, Dad, did you take care of some Germans with a 38 and or 9mm? And he said, well, I guarantee you that they will kill somebody. And then what he said about the 22 long rifle is he said it would not be his choice, weapon of choice, in a combat situation, but if that's all you had, he said most men, if they get shot with a 22 long rifle, all they got on their mind is getting away from you. And I said, Dad, well, what happens if they weren't most men? And he just tilted his head and he said, well, then you shoot them a 2nd or 3rd time. So this gives you a lot of flexibility, a lot of concealment. So you need to armor up to whatever the threat assessment is. And if that requires a full battle rifle, so be it. I would submit, even with this or with armament, that you camouflage it. One of the best urban camouflage is a trash bag. You simply put the case or your entire pack in a trash bag, and what it screams to everybody is there's a bunch of trash in there. Well, little do they know there's some pretty valuable things there. So be prepared.